Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Wissam Zarqa, and this is the fourth session, the summary of the fourth session, which is about style. Here, style, we mean academic style, when you're right. So let's read this as an example, just to understand what we mean exactly by style. A lot of people think that the weather is getting worse. They say that this has been going on for quite a long time. I think that they are quite right. Research has shown that we now get storms, etc., all the time. This is not, it sounds good, it sounds natural, it sounds understood, but it doesn't sound academic. This is not the style of academic writing. So if you try to think what's wrong here, how can we make it more academic? Maybe 2 or 3 things will come to your mind that if we change them, it will become more academic. But in fact, there is more to it here. Let's see what's exactly wrong here or not accepted in the academic style. So, academic writing attempts to be precise, semi-formal, impersonal, and objective. These are the basic guidelines. Precise, should be accurate, not to say vague things, not clear. Semi-formal. Why not formal? Maybe we'll say formal. This is more for legal text, let's say, international treaties, maybe, but international treaties like in politics, let's say. Impersonal, here, not to say much about I think, I believe, your opinion, and objective, not subjective. So something logical, not about what you think or what you believe. There is a space to write about what you think and what you believe, but academic writing is not the right place for it. Anyway, this doesn't mean that personal pronouns like I and we are never used, but in general, the focus is on presenting information as clearly and accurately as possible. So let's see that, let's come back to this one here, just to remember. You remember this? Now let's see what was wrong here. When you say a lot of people think, this is imprecise. How many? This is a lot. When you say a lot, this is imprecise, not accurate. The weather, again, imprecise. Weather is a short term. So like we are talking about long time, but we use the word weather, so not accurate use of the word, of the vocab. Getting worse, informal. In general, when you use get something, this is considered informal. Using like get is a hot verb, but in formal writing, always try to use one word. Don't use 2 words. You can use 1 word. This is the general word anyway. The general rule, I mean. They say use of personal, use of pronoun informal. Who are they anyway? Going on, informal phrasal verb. Again, phrasal verbs are problematic here. Quite a long time. You know, phrasal verbs means like a verb and a preposition, or verb and adverb, like or more, let's say particles, sorry. So again, the same rule. When you have 1 word, don't use 2 words when you can use 1 word. Quite a long time. Again, imprecise. How long is it? I think, informal, personal phrase. Research, vague. Whose research? So don't just say research. Say the surname of the researcher, mention a date maybe when it was published, at the year you usually mention in text. We now get, again, informal, storms, etc., vague, like what kind of storms, etc., what do you mean, etc., all the time. This is over generalization. Okay, so let's see. If you want to write that one in a better, like again, let me come back here and remember, we are talking about this one as an example. A lot of people think that the weather is getting worse. They say that this has been going on for quite a long time. I think that they are quite right. Research has shown that we now get storms, etc., all the time. So let's see if you want to write it more academic, how it becomes. Okay. It is widely believed that the climate is deteriorating, it is claimed that this process has been continuing for nearly 100 years, specific time. This belief appears to be supported by McKinley, whatever, 1997, which is the date when the research was published, who shows a 55% increase. So we say how much the increase is in the frequency of severe winter gale, which is a kind of storms, wind storms, since 1905. So here we are mentioning dates, numbers, names. This is academic. This is to the point, clear, a lot of information, accurate information, in fact. So there are rules. How can I write academic writing? There are rules. I guess we mentioned here about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 12 rules will be mentioned here. So when reading books and journals in your area, it means in your field of study, you should note what is acceptable. You will probably meet expectations. When we talk about, let's say, literature, no, we talk about scientific and social studies. So like there is, this is the main maybe difference, social studies and more scientific, like when we talk about medicine and chemistry and physics. So these like different areas anyway. You will probably meet expectations to the points below as you read. But if you follow these guidelines, you should be able to develop a suitable style of your own. So these are just guidelines. Let's see them. Do not use idiomatic or colloquial vocabulary, dad, guy, mom, whatever. Use standard English, father, man, mother, like this. Use vocabulary accurately. There is a difference between rule and law, or currency and money, which you are expected to know. So you should understand exactly how each word is used. Be as precise as possible when dealing with facts or figures. Avoid phrases such as about 100 or hundreds of years ago. It is necessary to estimate numbers as approximately rather than about. So approximately sounds more academic than about, and try to mention numbers. So fourth rule, conclusions should use tentative language. You know, this is hedging. When you use hedging, it means you try to sound less, not less confident, but you should give us like a place for doubt anyway. Avoid absolute statements such as education reduces crime. Instead, use cautious phrases may reduce crime or tend to reduce crime. So when you give results, try to leave a space that this is a study. These are the expectations of the study. We can't take them as absolute truth. It will not be accepted, let's say. Avoid adverbs that show your personal attitude, luckily, remarkably, surprisingly, unfortunately. Avoid these expressions which show feelings, because it will not sound objective. It will sound subjective, and this is not okay in academic writing. Do not contract verb forms. Don't, can't. Use full form. Do not, cannot. By the way, cannot is one word. Don't write 2 words. It's some exception. Why we shouldn't use like short forms? There is like a saying that sometimes they are confusing. The S is, has, or is, whatever. So try to be formal, accurate. Don't use contractions. And this is not only in research, in academic writing in general. Although academic English tends to use the passive more than standard English, it should not be overused. Yeah, when you read academic like pieces, you will find a lot of passive. Scientific, you find passive, but it doesn't mean that we should always use passive. Both active and passive have their place. Let's see, as an example, Manners, which is the name of a writer or researcher, 1997, claims that most companies perform worse when blah blah blah. It is widely agreed that most companies perform worse when blah, blah, blah. In the first case, the focus is on the source. That's why we didn't use passive. The source here is important. In the second example, so the focus is on what companies do rather than the source. So we used passive here anyway. So use passive and active in wisely, let's say. Okay, next one. Avoid the following. Like for introducing examples, use such as, for instance. So like doesn't sound formal. Things and combinations. Don't say nothing, something, or things, many things. Just say many factors, many issues, many topics. It's an important theme. No, it's an important topic. So use it this way. Lots of, again, this is avoid it. Use a significant number, a considerable number. So lots of doesn't sound formal. Little, big, I don't know what the problem with these two adjectives, but academically we should say small and large. Get phrases, like all phrases that start with get better, get worse. You can say improve, deteriorate, it means get worse anyway. So they are very good to use in speaking, but not in academic writing, not in research writing. Do not use question forms such as what were the reasons for, decline in wool exports, whatever. Instead, use statements. There were 4 main reasons for the decline, blah, blah, blah. Avoid numbering sections of your text, except in certain reports. So in reports, when you write reports, it's okay to have numbers, but usually in academic writing, we don't have these lists. Use conjunctions and sign posting expressions to introduce new sections, turning to the question of taxation, blah, blah, blah. So subheadings are widely used. We say, like, for example, this is 1, this is 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. These like subsections, let's say. There are different ways to do the subsections or subheadings. When writing lists, avoid using etc. Or and so on. So don't say etc. and so on. Just like mention what you want to mention, use and that's it. You say, for example, insert and before the last item. The forest of the 12th century consisted of oak, ash, and lime. Don't say etc. Just mention exactly what you want to mention. Avoid using 2-word verbs such as go on or bring up. If there is a suitable synonym, use continue, raise. So again, when you have 1 word, don't use 2 words. When you can use 1 word, don't use 2 words. Okay. I guess that was all, right? So, yeah. So these are all the rules. I hope you found them useful. Here there is some application, how to change, and practice is the most important thing. So when you practice, you will not forget these things. That was all about style. I hope you managed to use academic style in the right way. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.